looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers. Alright, we are back after a little bit of jet action. A little bit of McLaren heartbreak. I'm not going to spoil a lot if you haven't gotten to see the race. Welcome everybody here to Split 1, the FOXXXES Racing League FRL here in Hungary. Split 2, we saw a lot of, well, we saw some action, but not a lot of a lot. So, hoping that Split 1 gives us a little more action than Split 2 did. Now, that's not to say that Split 2 didn't have its moments. Lap 34 was a little eventful, but we should see what happens here in Split 1. Hope everybody's had a good day so far. It is a little bit later in the day than we normally do, but again, we're working around the real F1 race. Want to give everybody the opportunity to watch that, as that is a pretty big deal. You know, Formula 1's back, and FRL is here. So, as we go here, Hungary, it looks like it's a nice little cool qualifying. Doesn't look like it's raining yet, but it does look cloudy. Of course, Split 2, we had intermediate conditions that transitioned over to a dry track, so I wonder if that's going to play reverse here in Split 1 as we go through here. And looking at everything here, Zalazny is your driver's champion here in FRL Season 4 Split 1. And you can see he's not racing today. Because, well, when you're the champion, you can kind of do what you'd like to do. And I'm guessing Zalazny needed to take the week off, so he took the week off. Which, I don't blame him a bit. I'd probably do the same thing. So, standing in for Zalazny, we have Bernard. Bernard rolling in here. Of course, Bernard is a Split 2 driver, running as a reserve here in Split 1. DNF'd last week in Coda, and now he's running here. Syntax retiring from the session early on. Not sure what happened there. We're watching Gamer come around and finish his last lap, of course, or his flying lap. Of course, Gamer is who started off our flying laps in Split 2, and Gamer's going to open us up with a 117, and then Jack just turns around and puts in a 115 right behind him. We've got JJ, though, purple in the first sector, but then invalidating his lap, so it doesn't really matter that much. You got Kubu coming through, or Kubu coming through here on a flyer 56 through the, or 54 through the middle sector, my apologies. Looking really strong here. So we go through, of course, tire strategy is softs to hards, early stop and run long on hards, or you can do what Wasserschwein did and throw on some tires late and then fly through. Noda now retiring from the session, wreck at the start of the third sector. Kubu coming through, putting in a P5 time at a 116.4. You've got lots of drivers moving around. Debe up in second place with a 115.8, looking really good. JJ, of course, invalidating his lap, so giving up on that. You've got Tazo out, coming around the final corner. He had a 54 through the middle sector. What can he put in on the final sector? Goes P3 with a 1:15.8, looking really, really strong so far from the Mercedes crew. Of course, Mercedes still have to secure the constructors, I believe, but the drivers is secured. If constructors isn't secured, I'm shocked. 3 races and 207 points to lead. I'm going to be shocked if they don't have that calculated out too. Ignis coming around here, third sector, looking really, really good going through. And as Ignis comes around the final couple of corners, I'm going to be curious to see what sort of a time he puts in here. And Ignis comes across a 1:16.3. So we're going to jump on board with JJ here. JJ on an outlap. If I can jump on board with him here. There we go. JJ on board here for an outlap. And you can see not really hesitating, even though it is an outlap, trying to set his tires. He's going out on a set of mediums to qualify here. JJ last week not having the best of luck, finishing P16, coming off of 2 second-place finishes in a row, unfortunately. So JJ looking to have a stronger weekend here as we go. A track that JJ seems to be confident in, so I would imagine this is going to be a really good lap running through from him while he's getting ready to get going. Let's jump on board with Bartosz here, coming through the first sector. Bartosz, a driver we don't talk about a lot, but a very strong driver. P18 in the standings after some pretty significant bad luck. Disqualified from Hungary. Has had 2 points finishes, but everything else has been outside top 10. And of course, a few races he didn't participate in. And as Bartosz comes around here, final couple of corners, we're going to see what sort of a time Bartosz can put in as he comes through. Looking pretty good so far. Coming around, he is going to be a little bit slower, I believe, than some other drivers, but I don't think it's going to be a bad time in the least. Currently, no time set. So as he comes across the line, he puts in a 1:16.3 P8 so far, looking really strong. This weekend should be a good one for JJ and some of the other drivers here, as they don't have to worry about Zalazny, and they can just kind of go for it. Zalazny, of course, winning the Drivers' Championship here in FRL Season 4 Split 1. Split 2 is still a very, very close contest. Nobody really knows what's happening there. It's very, very close, and nobody's sure of who's going to win that. JJ coming around, a little bit of traffic to deal with in the third sector. And as he comes around the final couple of corners here, what is JJ going to put in? He does look to be a few seconds behind the pace here, possibly just a bad first lap, or the medium tires working against him. He puts in a 1:16.9, only good enough for P13. Definitely uncharacteristic of JJ there to be a little bit slower, and behind him you have Debe, who is out starting his flying lap at the moment. Debe currently P6 in the Drivers' Championship here. A few good finishes, 1 podium so far this season, 1 race he did not start, and a few races outside the top 10. A pretty consistent driver, and as I say that and commentator curse him, promise I didn't do that on purpose, David. Promise I didn't do that on purpose. But maybe I did do that on purpose, and you may never know. Anyways, let's jump on board here with Buchik, who is coming around and looking really strong through the middle sector. His teammate Ignis right behind him. And Buchik purple in the middle sector, looking really, really strong there as he goes through. Kubu gets out of his way there, going into the final couple of corners, and Kubu's going to get out of his teammate Ignis's way as well as they go around here. And as they come through final corner, what is Buchik going to put in? Tazo jumping up there, P3. Kepa on P4. Buchik takes over P4 instead. Dormati and Barthez, P6, 7 at the moment. Lots of drivers out on laps, but lots of drivers showing in the pits at the same time. Really confusing. As we look here, John Meister out on mediums. I would guess this is a sightseeing lap for him just to get a feel on the track. Jack currently up top with a 1:15.2, super competitive time. But did he put in that fast time too early, or John Meister into the pits here? Kubu with an invalidated lap. Ignis with an invalidated lap. Matty coming around on his outlap through the final couple of corners, and JJ out on an outlap coming through the first sector. 7.5 minutes left to go here in qualifying for Split 1. As Matty officially starts his time, his best time is a 1:16.1, so we'll see if he's able to improve as we go through. You can see the tire Deva just left out on the track by the officials here. And as he goes through, oh, Matty, purple first sector, almost losing out on track limits there. Ramping off the curb. And you can see just how close these drivers are pushing to the curb, almost taking out the sign. And he spins there, and that is going to be Matty out. Oh, I'm going to stop spectating people. That is all I'm going to do here. I'm just going to stop spectating people. How many commentator curses can we put into one race? So, now we're on board with Bernard, who has 2 laps on his soft tires. And we're going to jump on board with JJ here, even though I'm scared to spectate JJ. JJ... Oh! Y'all, I'm just gonna... To every FRL driver, I am sorry that you chose me to spectate you. What in the world? The commentator curse is strong with this. I give up. Gamer 2021 rolling through on a hot lap here. We'll see what time Gamer 2021 can put in. He is, of course, a couple seconds off the pace of the front runners here. Jack, Tazo, Bernard, Deba MP4, even though Deba's DNF'd, and we saw me cause that, but neither here nor there. And Gamer 2021 invalidating his lap there. Bernard with an invalid lap into the pits as we go through. Jack currently on an out lap. Jack, a driver that was runner-up of Season 3 here in FRL before we had 2 splits, was the only person who could seem to bring it to Orlowski. We'll see if Jack has the pace to really bring it this weekend and put himself in a valuable position in the championship. Currently P3 behind Tazo by 32 points. So if he can have a good finish and Tazo not have a good finish, it is possible that Jack can set himself up for a couple race shootout for the championship here. Jumping with Barthez here, who has just started an out lap, or a hot lap. Barthez coming through first sector, looking really, really strong. We'll see if he can keep the traction here through the first sector. And you can see purple first sector just barely staying in track limits again. Driver's really pushing it towards that first turn in the middle sector. Now he comes through the chicane here on the back half of the track. Still looking really strong here, Barthez. Purple middle sector for Barthez. So Barthez really putting some times in here. But we'll keep an eye on Jack and see what Jack puts through. As Jack goes purple first sector now, so he is on pace to knock out Barthez. Barthez coming around here. Final corner. Barthez is looking to set a strong lap time. What does Barthez put in? Barthez goes P3 with a 1:15.5, but we do have Jack out on a hot lap. Jack invalidating his lap in the middle sector. So, no factor there. And that is going to be John Meister, who I'm spectating, who spins out there. I'm making my own job really difficult this week. I'm noticing here. Every time I cut to a driver spins. So it's a fun problem to have, I think. So let's jump back on board with his teammate JJ here. JJ starting a flying lap now. Dormati retiring here from the session. JJ looking really strong as we come through. Watch just how he hits the curb and just flings it. One of the things I like about JJ is JJ is willing to put a lot of risk in for a lot of reward. He utilizes every single inch of the track, as you can see. Watch him there through the chicane. Every inch of track that he can to try to find the most time possible. And out of our 20 cars here, it looks like about half of them have DNF'd here in this qualifying session. And JJ invalidating his lap here in the third sector. So JJ, a driver struggling just to put a clean lap in, as Jack goes even faster with a 1:15.2, and then Tazo comes in with a 1:15.3. So lots of drivers starting to throw laps in here. Kubu out in who knows where there in the middle sector. I believe he's just getting out of the way of, I believe that was Ignis that just passed him. That was Ignis. Possibly a connection issue, though, because Kubu is stopping on the grass here. Really, really weird situation to see. See Ignis pulling over as well. "30 seconds to go. Half of our drivers are out here in qualifying. Jack with a 1:15.2. I get the feeling that Jack likes this track. Ignis starting a flying lap here. So if drivers haven't started a flying lap yet, they could be in trouble. You can see Bartosz and Kepa starting their flying laps, one behind the other here. And it looks like Bartosz will get out of the way to allow Kepa the opportunity to throw a lap in. So Bartosz giving up his qualifying session here. And as the checkered flag falls on qualifying, you can see lots of drivers in currently. JJ coming across, possibly finally setting a lap. And he sets a 1:16.0, only gets him up to P12. So a poor performance here in qualifying from JJ. Unfortunate for him. He's going to be very upset with that. But we'll see where that puts him. Kepa spinning out there. Bartosz, who got out of the way for Kepa. So unfortunately, that is going to be Aston Martin's qualifying over. And the last driver that I see that can put in a good lap here is going to be Ignis, as Ignis comes around. Final corner here. What time is Ignis going to put in? Ignis looks pretty far behind the pace at the moment, so we'll see if he can improve on his own time, but it's not going to be a pole position lap for him. Ignis comes across, though, improves to P8 with a 1:15.8, half a second up from his previous time. And that should be the run-up of your qualifying session here, as we see Bartosz way off the pace, and Kepa is just in the wall in the middle sector. So as we wait for Kepa to be the last driver to come around here, that is qualifying over at the moment. 18 minutes flies by really fast. Commentator cursed 4 drivers of the half that are disqualified or that are DNF'd in the process. So sorry about that, guys. But a great qualifying session nonetheless from all the drivers. Hopefully the qualifying session isn't an indication for the race. We saw in Split 2 things got kind of boring for a little bit and just kind of settled out. Hungary not a good track for overtaking, so we'll see what Split 1 can produce and what sort of action comes into the race as we wait on Caper to be pulled into the pits to put the checkered flag down on this qualifying session. So looking at your qualifying results, Jack is here on pole. Then you have Tazo, Johnmeister, Barthez, Buchik, Bernard, Debe, Ignis, Bartosz, Radislav, Kepa, Dormati, Kubu, JJ, Matty. And then as we run down here, Fishu, Gamer, TC Westwood, who you'll hear me refer to as Tony, Choppa, Noda, and Syntax. That is going to be your qualifying grid summed up for Split 1. We're back underway here with the formation lap and just looking through. And we're back underway here at the start of the formation lap. Looking here, Jack, Tazo, Johnmeister, Barthez, Buchik, Bernard, Debe, Ignis, Bartosz, Kepa, Dormati, Kubu, JJ, Matty, Fishu, Gamer, Tony, Choppa, Noda, Syntax, and of course all the top 10 starting on soft tires, as that's what they qualified on. Dormati, Kubu, Matty, Fishu, Tony, Choppa, Noda, and Syntax all on mediums. JJ opting with a hard tire strategy, and then Gamer on softs. So JJ looking to pull a Lewis Hamilton here and run deep into the race, possibly hope for a safety car and then switch over to a different tire. Of course, your pit stop strategy is after about 7 laps on softs, you want to go to hards, or after about 6 laps, and then around lap 20, you're going to double stop into mediums. Really depends on the driver's preference, but of course safety cars always throw our strategy out the window. You see Jack really working his soft compound tires, almost going off the track there, just to try to get some heat built up in those tires as the drivers come through here around the final corner. Everybody coming around the final corners here to form up on the grid. You can see our leader here, Jack, taking his place as he goes through here. Grid forming up behind him. Jack's going to want everybody to hurry up as he's going to be ready to go here. Last driver to form up is going to be Syntax in the Red Bull. Unfortunate qualifying for him. He is last driver to get into a grid slot here. It looks like he is going to be in place, and we are going to be set up here for our race. Can Jack go ahead and take the lead and show off some pace? Can Tazo pass him and help Mercedes form up? Can Johnmeister bring Ferrari to glory? It's 5 red lights, and we are going to be underway here for Hungary here in split 1. And it looks like as far as the takeoff goes, really, really strong takeoff there in the background. You can see Syntex already getting aggressive. Up front, it's going to be Jack and Tazo side by side there. John Meister trying to hold off Barthez. They're 3 wide here in the middle of the pack as they go through. That is going to be Bernard, Bartosz, Debe getting in on the action here as you watch Bartosz and Bernard drag race down through. Bartosz is going to have the inside here. Bernard on the outside. Can he squeeze him out of the way? And he holds it off hard, and there we go. But up front here, we still have Jack and Tazo drag racing down, and Tazo is going to get the pass here on Jack as they come through into the right-hander in the middle sector. And as it stands, Mercedes, Tazo showing off a little bit of pace here, putting some pressure on Jack. Jack folding to the pressure. Tazo getting his way up there up to the front. Now we have yellow flag there in sector 2. It looks like that is going to be Noda who has spun out there in the chicane. Back underway though with no issues, it looks like. Unfortunate for Noda though. Early spin there could have cost him. Tazo coming through. Jack, John Meister, Buchik, Barthez, Bartosz, Bernard, Ignis, Dormati, JJ. Top 10 currently. You can see as they come around here, a little bit of a battle forming up in the background. Syntex already up into P15, having a good battle here on what it appears to be Choppa. Or is that his teammate? That's his teammate chasing after Tony. And they're already into the pit, so some early pit stops already happening here as we go through. Tony gets a 5-second speed or 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But as we end the first lap here, Tazo holding on to a lead here and trying to go ahead and start running away with it. We're going to watch here Bernard trying to chase down the other Mercedes, trying to chase down the Aston Martin of Bartosz. Bartosz a strong driver as we know, so it's going to be fun to watch here. Barthez in front of Bartosz, so that should be a good battle as well. All of the front 8 only separated by 0.2 to half a second per car. And as they come around here through the third sector for the second time of 35, going through still pretty clean racing all the way through as far as we can tell. Nobody going for anything aggressive. Of course, DRS enabled after this lap for the third time. AWS wants you to know it's soft to hard or soft medium medium. If you didn't know the pit strategy, I really want to make sure you know your pit strategy here. And as we go down, you can see Bartosz on Barthez here, chasing it down. A little bit of a switchback there from the Aston Martin driver on the Williams driver. They're still going to be side by side going down the hill here. And Bartosz has a run here on Barthez. A little bit of wheel contact. But it looks like Barthez is going to hold on to the position here on Bartosz for another section of the track. They need to make these passes done early, otherwise it is possible they'll be stuck in place. Kubu going very aggressive here on Syntex at the moment, side by side into the chicane, and they're going to back out of it here. Kubu ceding the position here to Syntex for P14. Seeing gaps starting to open up here in the front of the field. Half a second Tazo has here on Jack. Doesn't seem like a lot of time, but in Hungary you really have to be close to try to make an aggressive pass, and at the moment it looks like Tazo has that gap building up on Jack. Buchik already outside of a second on John Meister, and Barthez out of a second on Buchik here. So very, very close pockets starting to form already. Hopefully we don't develop any DRS trains. As we come around here, Barthez and Bartosz battling a little bit as Barthez goes into the pits here and gives up the position. DRS open here for Jack. Jack not close enough for a run here, but it looks like back here in the back, Bartosz and Bernard going to have a good battle here. Bernard defending off on Bartosz and Ignis back in P7, so that's a good battle developing there for P5. And it looks like at the moment it's going to be Bernard who has the advantage, but Ignis trying to have a diver on the inside here of Bartosz, and Ignis not close enough at the moment either, trying to chase down the Mercedes driver and move up. Jack only 2/10, 3/10 off of Tazo now. So Jack trying to apply some pressure to the Mercedes driver, show a little bit of his pace, put his elbows out, and stretch his feet a little bit and get going here. Can Jack really put something down on Tazo? It's going to be tough, especially when you have little snaps of oversteer just like that right there that you've got to fight the entire time. Jack probably running an aggressive setup knowing how he is. We'll see here in this straightaway with the help of DRS. Will he be able to get the pass done? Can he follow close enough through the final sector here in order to make effective use of DRS? They come around the next to final corner, and now they're going to hit the penultimate corner here. As they come around, Jack letting the gap open up to half a second, keeping a really tight line here, getting on the power early, trying to close it up. DRS is open, of course, here at this moment, and Jack not going to be close enough for the pass here on Tazo. Tazo for another lap holding on. Bartosz back in P6 has the run on Bernard. Bartosz on the outside here. Is he going to do a switchback on Bernard? He's going to think about it. He's going to think about it. Is he going to do it? And it looks like as they come around there, turn one, not close enough for the pass. Bartosz is. So Bernard holding on again. We're starting to see things settle in a little bit and a little bit of a DRS train develop. Look at the gaps from P5 all the way back through to P14. Just a big DRS train developing, and I don't know if anyone's going to be able to get the passes done. John Meister still trying to chase down Jack here, and he has a bit of a run here on Jack. Jack trying to put pressure on Tazo, but with Jack not being able to keep up through the sectors, that means that John Meister has been able to close up his gap. So John Meister potentially able to go for P2 here. I thought they were going to pit for just a second, but it doesn't look like either of them are thinking about it yet. Of course, around 8 or 9 laps is what they're going to look to go. DRS open on Jack. DRS also open on John Meister, but Tazo dives into the pits. So that's going to free up Jack to open his legs a little bit and get moving. We'll see how this battle between Jack and John Meister forms out here and what happens. Jumping on board here, Bartosz and Bernard side by side going in the corner, and Bartosz is going to shut the door on Bernard there around turn 2. So Bartosz finally getting past Bernard after several laps of effort. Bartosz is going to be very happy about that because he's got 3.7 seconds he needs to make up on the front 2 in order to close up the gap and be in a battle for the top of the podium at the moment. Even though pit stops are just now starting, if he wants to get up in the battle, he needs to close up that gap of nearly 4 seconds. Coming on here, you can see Dormati on Bernard starting to form a battle here, and Bernard going defensive. So Dormati not able to get past him there, but he will have a good advantage here going down the straightaway. And Bernard diving into the pits here. Bernard going onto a fresh set of medium tires as they go through. So Bartosz now in the lead as Jack pitted as well for hard tires. Jack going to play the long game here at Hungary. So now your top 3. Bartosz, Dormati, Deve, Chapa, Kepa, Syntex. Syntex up into P6 after what was not a good qualifying session for him. First driver to DNF starting from last. So as we come around here, you can see just how tight that gap is right there with Syntex, Kepa, and JJ. Very close battles. Of course, JJ and Syntex, teammates last season, now rivals this season, trying to battle it out here. Syntex is going to want to keep JJ behind. JJ is going to want to get around Syntex. No team orders can be played here to call who gets past who, and the Red Bull is going to want the Ferrari to stay behind him as much as possible. JJ's going to want to get the pass done here. though, as JJ on the hard tires needs to start using those up and get moving for the long game in order to get past Bartosz into the pits now. We'll see what tires Bartosz opts to go on. Of course, he was on the soft, so I would assume he's going to go on the hards. DRS open here. Syntex defending off Kepa here. Kepa trying to do a little bit of a switchback, though. Kepa not able to make that happen. JJ back a couple positions here, though. Losing out of position on Kepa there. I missed how that happened. Ignis setting a fastest lap of the Grand Prix there, all the way back in P15. I said it was starting to calm down, and now we've got very close and tight battles starting to happen here. And it looks like we have a yellow flag in Sector 1. I believe that is going to be for FOXXXES spinning there in the first sector. It is, and you can see the front wing damage. Losing out. Dormati 1.5 second gap on Debe here. Choppa very close behind. Syntex 2.5 seconds back behind them. And then it's Kepa, JJ, Noda, very, very tight gap. And then 7 seconds back to Tazo. You can see here, look at JJ going on the attack on Kepa here through a very unconventional passing zone. JJ almost putting his rear wing underneath the rear wheels there of Kepa. Kepa getting a little bit loose there as he feels the pressure from JJ. And as they come down the main straight, DRS is going to be open. JJ is going to have no issues getting the pass done. And Noda's going to take advantage of this opportunity as well. Noda's going to look to get past Kepa as well. But Noda not close enough to take advantage and also get past JJ. Debe finally flying into the pits here. Debe opting to go on to hard tires as well. So Debe looking to play the long game here. And now JJ is going to set forth, trying to chase down Syntex again. And then go after Choppa and Dormati. Of course, JJ starting on these hard tires, so he's going to run a very, very long race on these hard compound tires. Some drivers already starting to accumulate track limits warnings and penalties. Long race and getting a penalty early can cost you largely. There's a 5-second penalty for Tony for speeding in the pit lane. Those are penalties that you cannot afford here throughout this race. Of course, if you are new to FRL, it is only a 50% race here. And we're going to watch JJ come down the main straight. Noda's going to have DRS open, but is Noda close enough for a pass? Noda's thinking about a dive up the inside, slots back in behind JJ, not close enough for the pass. But is he close enough on the second thing? Noda throwing a wheel around the outside. Going to switch back to the inside here. Try to have a bit better of a run than JJ. Noda not close enough here for the pass. Trying as hard as he may. Noda for another lap is going to have to sit back behind JJ. And look at the back of that Ferrari. John Meister and Kepa battling it out here, and it looks like John Meister is going to have the advantage here on Tazo and be through, and that is going to be Tony DNFing out of the session. That is going to be our first safety car here in FRL in Split 1, Round 12. Caused by the reserve driver. Going through, and it looks like just DNFing out of the first sector. Very unfortunate for him. Tony on his debut here in FRL. And if your driver's up in the front of the field like Dormati, Choppa, Syntex, you are going to be very excited for this safety car. JJ on the hard tires playing the long strategy, opting to go into the pits, but the drivers on mediums still staying out. Kepa surely is going to have to go into the pits, and he does there on the soft tires. So Dormati, Syntex opting to stay out here on their medium tires. All the drivers behind them starting to pit. Most drivers had already cycled through pit stops, unfortunately. So some of the ones up front taking those free pit stops. And it looks like in terms of tire strategy, there's going to be a big mix-up here. Choppa going on the hard tires, playing the long game. JJ onto a set of mediums, guessing he didn't like the pace he had in hards. So he's going to go for the mediums. Noda onto the hard tires. Kepa onto the medium tires here. Buchik and Barthez both on fresh tires. Buchik hard, Barthez medium. So a Choppa onto a fresh set of hard tires. I think I already said him. So a big mix of strategy throughout the field, but most drivers on mediums or hards at the moment. Dormati and Syntex, though, choosing to not stop yet. But now Dormati and Syntax are going to come into the pits here after a lap of safety car and Dormati being ghosted out into the pit lane. Really, really weird situation there. I'm not sure why they would pick to do that the way they did. Or is that Dormati? Who is that in the pit lane in front of Syntax? I am not sure. That is Barthez in front of Syntax there into the pits. I believe Barthez is just serving out a penalty that he had accumulated there. So Dormati in the lead on 11 lap-old mediums, possibly finding himself caught out in a poor position. Buchik retiring from the session. It looks like Buchik spinning there in the first sector. Another car down here. So 2 DNFs so far here in 12 laps. As we come around here, a lot of the drivers on hards find themselves on a good strategy. The mediums are in a good place as well, whoever is on fresh mediums, as they are going to have to pit here soon. So that means wherever they're pitting, they're in a very good position at the moment because the mediums are meant for the two-stop strategy. So if they're on fresh mediums now, they can run until around lap 20, lap 25, and then pit off for their final set of mediums and find themselves in a very good spot. As we come around here, safety car is in, so Dormati takes control of the field. You see John Meister trying to hurry him up, pulling a Max Verstappen here. Dormati's going to go when he pleases, and here goes Dormati taking off. There's a big gap in the middle of the field between Debe and Kepa, and I do not know why that is such a big gap. But as we go through here, you can see Ignis and Bartosz battling, and Ignis losing out in that battle there, as we see Kepa and Maddie battling now as well. Kepa getting passed by Maddie here, and the massive gap opening up in the middle of the field for some reason. Kepa holding everybody back, and I do not know why. And as we go through here, it looks like that is going to be Bartosz, who is spun out there in the middle in the start of the middle sector. Unfortunately for Bartosz, that is going to drop him all the way down to P17. But as we watch here, the positions fly through. Dormati on 12 lap old mediums, John Meister on 5 lap old mediums, and then Tazo and Jack on hard tires respectively. So Tazo and Jack going to look to go to the end of the Grand Prix. Dormati and John Meister committing to another stop. So Tazo is essentially your first place man right now. Choppa in P5 in a great position on fresh hard tires. Just switching over to him. And of course, no DRS for 2 laps after safety car. So any passes that happen here are going to be based on pure pace as the drivers go through. You can see just based on pure pace, not a lot of passes happening at the moment, and it looks like Fishu back there in P17 having a little bit of a spin there in the third sector, but back underway, no issues for him. Looking here at different things in the field, we're going to jump on board here with JJ. JJ in the middle of a good 4-car fight between himself, Bernard, Noda, and Choppa. You can see Noda thinking about a pass on JJ in a very unconventional zone, but Noda opting against it. Noda, a very wise driver, and knowing that is not a good place to pass, so he does not. Going around here, the gaps are pretty consistent at the moment here. No DRS, of course. It doesn't look like anybody making major errors here. Lap 14 of 35. We're hitting 20 laps to go here. DRS is now enabled, and look behind JJ here at Bernard and Noda. Noda with the slipstream here on Bernard. Is he going to be able to make the pass? He's going to look around the outside and definitely think about it. He's side by side with him as he comes through. Bernard able to hold the door shut, though. Noda having to settle back in for 8th place for at least another lap. As we look here, Bartosz is into the pits on a fresh set of mediums. It looks like Ignis has spun there in the middle sector, so Ignis dropping way back. He's back underway with no issues. Debe with a DNF here coming through middle sector. I don't know what's happened to him, but is that going to result in a safety car? And it does. Debe spinning out here in the middle sector through the S's, and safety car has been deployed for the second time. And unfortunately for Domati, he is just past the pit entrance, so he's not able to take advantage of it. So the field will bunch up to Dormati, who unfortunately was not able to get into the pits before the safety car was called in. So an unfortunate position for him to be in, as he is now on 15 lap all medium tires. But he'll bunch into the field here as a lot of drivers are into the pits. You can see the Alpha Tower here of Ignis into the pits, throwing on a fresh set of hard tires and throwing on a new wing. Maddie with a 5-second time penalty for crossing the pit exit too early. When you come out of the pit exit, you have to stay inside that white line that the drivers were beside. Otherwise, you get a penalty, and it looks like that's what happened. And look at Ignis spinning right away, not even able to get through a quarter of a... Oh! And he is very lucky he was ghosted, because that would have been a horrible collision right there. So I really want to know when Dormati plans on pitting. If anybody has an idea when he is going to pit, please let me know, because I do not understand what his strategy is here. And he's still not in the pits here. He's still on those medium tires. You would think they're hard tires the way he's running them. As we come around here, lap 17 of 35. Close to... Essentially, we're at the halfway point of this race, and we've had 2 safety cars so far. And just kind of looking through the field, Dormati is the one that raises the biggest question for me. And he is going to take control of the field here, as the safety car is now going to be coming in. Choppa in P2, JJ in P3, Kepa in P4, Kubu in P5, Syntex P6, and look at this. Choppa wants Dormati to get on with it, that way Choppa can get past him on the fresher tires. He is beyond ready for Dormati to go. Look at this as they come around. And Dormati spinning right out of the final corner. Oh, that was painful. So Choppa is now going to be in the lead. Oh, did I commentator curse him again? Gosh. But as they come around, that is going to be Choppa, JJ, Kepa, Kubu, Syntex. Look at Syntex trying to have a run here on Kubu. And as we look here, Syntex not close enough for a pass on Kubu at the moment, but a great run nonetheless here. So Choppa into the lead after an unforced error by Dormati, just getting on the power too early and spinning out. Or maybe it's because I was spectating him. I couldn't tell you which. As we come through here, coming through the middle sector, drivers looking really strong into the third sector. JJ is going to be on the attack as his position is 4 points. Ignis picking up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. You can see JJ right behind Choppa there with Slipstream, probably deploying all of his energy as well. Same with Choppa trying to defend it. You can see back in the back, they are swerving around, trying to catch the Slipstream, trying to get the passes done. It looks like everybody is going to make it fairly clean through turn 1 after the initial lap. So, Choppa on JJ on Kepa. Choppa in a very good spot. And as they come around here, lap 20, 15 laps, or lap 19, 16 laps to go if I could talk. And look at John Meister there, P6, only a couple tenths of a second off here of getting a pass done on Syntex. Now the gap's going to open back up as they go through the S's and go through the chicanes of the middle sector. But for a split second, it looked like he was in an extremely good spot to get a pass done. You can see behind him Tazo and Jack battling it out very hard. Now Noda getting his nose in the mix. So this battle here in the middle of the points places is a very, very good battle. DRS now enabled, so DRS will be available. And you can see up front, Kubu weaving, trying to keep Syntex behind. All of these drivers forming up into a bit of a train now, so it's going to be a matter of who gets the pass done first. As we see, Kubu is now spun there in the first sector. Kubu spinning with Bernard. Very, very strange situation to be in here. Now it's John Meister on Tazo, on Syntex being the one chased down here for P4. Bernard retiring out from the session here with a DNF. Not sure if that was a wreck or exactly where that was. And then you have Maddie, who is spun out there in the first sector. Lots of incidents happening here. Drivers potentially losing their focus. We are into a fairly long race. 15 laps to go. You can see John Meister thought about a pass there on Syntex. Opted against it. As we go through here, John Meister having a run. He's got drivers behind him, though, that are very dangerous here. Tazo right behind him. Tazo think about having a move. He did. Jack thought about a move as well. Jack opting against it, though. All the drivers just slotting into a line, trying to get passes done and trying to get moving around. So things starting to calm down again here. Lap 21 to 35. Things get chaotic for a couple laps, then things calm down. Then things get chaotic, then things calm down. It's just kind of the way things have been running so far here in Hungary. And then Kubu with a DNF now through middle sector. Safety car number 3 coming out. And we'll see. Does Dormati finally decide to pit on his 20 lap all medium tires? That is the driver that I want to see what he does. We're going to watch him because I need to know if he pits and gets off these tires or not. Because if he doesn't, I'm going to call him crazy. There we go. Thank you, Dormati, for finally pitting for me. And then Gamer 2021 pitting in front of him as well. Soft tires for Dormati. That's going to be a big ask for his tires to go 13 laps here. Of course, it's going to be more like 10 laps because he gets a few laps under safety car. But even then, safety car presents a little bit of wear here. JJ also in a dangerous spot as he's got around 13 more laps to go on his medium compounds. Same thing with Kepa here. 13 more laps to go on his medium. So I don't know what is the best strategy here for them. Watching through here and watching the drivers, it's been really interesting to watch and see just how calculated they are. Nobody in split one here is taking any sort of unnecessary risk unless your name is JJ and then you're doing JJ things because you want to get up in the lead. But now that he's up in the lead, he's got to conserve those tires. And Choppa knows this. Choppa's on hard tires, which last longer, so Choppa can push a bit harder. Lap 22 of 35 when we're under the 3rd safety car. And safety car is going to be called in this lap. So JJ takes control of the field, and that is going to be where lap 24 4 is going to start here. So JJ will take control, and it looks like JJ's not really hesitating. There's still this huge gap that Kepa's forming up. I don't know if Kepa is kind of backing people up on purpose or what his plan is there, but it's a 2.5 second gap now that he's got on the rest of them. As we go through here, some tight battles happening here. Look at John Meister trying to get a pass done on Syntex. Unable to get it done, though, as we go through, looking really, really strong here. All the gaps very close right after the restart. As we go around here, coming around into the third sector, you see John Meister diving a little bit on the outside here, thinking about a pass, not doing the pass, though, as we go through. So as we come around here, starting lap 25, 10 laps to go now, and you can see here that it is JJ on Choppa. Noda setting a fastest lap of the Grand Prix, though, on a fresh set of soft tires. So Noda looking to put a bit of pressure in as we look here. As John Meister is going to spin here in the first sector. So we go through here. JJ stretching out a 2-second lead here at the moment. Jack trying to battle his way back up onto the podium here. Tazo and P5 trying to hold off Jack here in the gap. 1/10 of a second at the moment. 2/10 of a second now. As Jack is struggling to follow through the middle sector, it seems, as we've watched him. Jack looking to put a lot of pressure on here onto Tazo and try to get a pass done. Noda with a 1:17.999 setting a fastest lap. And look at Jack applying all the pressure he can on Tazo, nearly hitting the back of his car as they go through. Dormati getting past Bartosz here around the outside into turn 2. And then look at Noda having a dive there as well on Bartosz. Bartosz just getting bullied around here through the track. Noda going to back out of it here, as that is not a good place to try to pull a pass off. And look at Tazo here up in P5, only a couple tenths off of Syntex, but only a couple tenths behind him is Jack trying to chase him down here as they go through. Lap 26 of 35, and I see no signs of this run being over in any way. As we come down the main straight here, look at Syntex having a pass on Kepa there, and then Tazo's going to stick his nose into it and try to get the pass done as well. So as we go through here, Tazo's still not done. Look at Tazo trying to go around the outside of Syntax. I don't know if there was any contact there. It doesn't look like it was, but for the moment, Syntax is going to hold on to P3 here, but Tazo's still trying to have a run. And look at the carnage in the background there with Dormati and Jack and Kepa. So as we come around here, lap 27 of 35, the battles have not stopped yet. As they come through here, look at Tazo and Syntax battling it out again. They are just not done. And now it looks like Tazo has actually gotten the pass done on Syntax. And now we're going to see Noda trying to get the pass done on Syntax as well. Here in 5th place, Noda trying to chase him down. And for the moment, Noda is going to have to sit back and settle for P5. Lap 28 of 35, and the battles are not over. Watching here, it's a matter of tires conservation, and it's a matter of luck all at the same time here. JJ on 17 lap old mediums and still needs to go 6 more laps. Can he actually make the mediums last that long? Is the big question that we have right now. And look at this. Look at Noda and Syntax still battling again. Syntax on the hard tires. 16 lap old hards against Noda on fresh softs. Noda wins that 9 times out of 10, and Noda is now back around here and up into 4th place, and now he can set off chasing down Tazo and trying to get onto the podium here. Dormati now landing a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings here. Gaps opening up again at the moment. Half a second, the gap between Choppa and Tazo, and then half a second between Tazo and Noda as we're going on with 5 laps to go here in this Hungarian Grand Prix. And as the drivers come around here, watch here these 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place going to battle it out. DRS only open on Noda's car, it appears. So Tazo closing it up, but not close enough for a pass here. Not a good enough run out of turn 1 in order to make a pass into turn 2. So drivers following extremely close here, trying to make sure that if there's an opportunity, they can take advantage of it. Jack with the fastest lap, 1:17.5, but he's back in P13, so it will not matter if that lap stands or not, as he won't get paid any points for it. Dormati back in P7, trying to chase down Maddie, and then having Bartosz right behind him as well. Drivers trying to fight for as many points as they can, and ultimately it's going to fall into 1 to 2 positions, but also penalties are going to play a large part, as they always do here in FRL, for who gets what position. Tazo has opened up the gap to Choppa a lot. Choppa getting a bit of a run here on Tazo, but Noda still very close. DRS open here. Is Choppa far enough away from Tazo in order to not worry about a pass? It looked like it, but no. Tazo is going to late break and try to dive it up the inside. Choppa is able to shut the door. DRS back open, though. You can see Noda back behind them trying to follow through and also get that pass done. Now we can jump back a little bit here as well. You have Maddie, Dormati, Bartosz battling it out here, and they are going to hold station as well for another lap. All right, lap 31, and watch this battle develop here. That's still not done. Starting on lap 32, and a little bit of a mistake from Bartosz might open the door for Dormati to get past as they go down the main straight. And what else is going to open up a door here? Tazo with DRS opens up a bit of a door there for Choppa to possibly be passed. And unfortunately for Tazo, Choppa is able to hold on for another pass, but Dormati and Bartosz are not done with each other here. Dormati around into P7 as they run through down the DRS straight. Of course, Dormati in front with DRS, but Bartosz a bit more aggressive, not wanting to let the opportunity pass, but unfortunately Bartosz has to let it go. Dormati runs way wide through the track, though, through that turn 3, and is lucky enough to hold on here for just another lap. 3 laps to go here in FRL, and JJ has a 3.7 second lead on 20 lap old medium tires. Watch out here, because Dormati is still going to be under pressure by Bartosz here. Is Bartosz going to think about having a pass right here? He is not, though he could have. And look at Tazo and Choppa and Noda up here. Half a second the gap between the 3, and Tazo is very, very keen to get past Choppa here for that P2 place. And Tazo not close enough for the pass. However, the gap is closing by a few tenths there. If he can keep up through the middle, he's going to be able to keep up. And look at Dormati and Bartosz. Bartosz finally getting past Dormati here. And is Bartosz going to have DRS as well coming down the hill? It looks like Bartosz is going to have DRS going down the hill. So Dormati losing out big time. But don't discount Ignis back behind him in P9. Ignis is going to be looking to get a pass done as well and get moving up. And as they come down, still extremely close. Ignis right behind Dormati. Dormati needs to get a move on here. Otherwise, he is going to be in some serious trouble soon. Gaps opening up. Ignis now under pressure from John Meister, as John Meister looks to have a pass in a pretty unconventional spot and possibly could have had that pass done. He's going to have a lot of pressure on Ignis here as Ignis locks up. They're side by side coming around the next to last corner. He's going to push him hard. And a little bit of contact there, I believe, and both drivers are going to be into the wall. Ignis gets away. John Meister gets the worst of it there. Ignis in P9. John Meister now falling out of the points after that contact. And while all that was going on, Tazo finally got past Choppa for that P2 position here with 2 laps to go. Just a lap to A lap and some change here to go, and Choppa gap already to Tazo, dropping down to 6.5, almost 7 tenths. Noda behind is almost 9 tenths back. So gap's really settling down as all of these drivers are on very, very worn tires. So this could be settling in where it's at as JJ, the leader, crosses the line and starts the final lap here. Choppa's going to try to have an attack on Tazo here, but the gap is nearly 9 tenths that he needs to make up, and he does have a good run, but it doesn't look like he's got enough of a run. He's going to have to pull something magical out here on this final lap in order to try to get the pass done. Gap's down to 7 tenths, back up to 8 tenths, down to 6 tenths roughly here, as Tazo has enough space here that he doesn't need to worry about Choppa as long as he can keep the race clean coming through. And as they round through the middle sector for the final time, you can see the gap has settled itself out to a half second between Choppa, Noda, and Syntex, and 1.3 the gap now on Tazo. So it is possible that Noda could still end up on the podium here and get past Choppa, depending on how Choppa can defend here as they go through the final sector. But JJ coming around the final two corners here in the Ferrari. JJ, a driver that we know is strong, 2 podiums here in Season 4 of FRL in Portugal and France. Finished P16 last week, but he's going to hit the top step of the podium today. JJ in the Ferrari is going to bring home P1, and while the battle's not done behind him there, Tazo, Choppa, notice Syntex locking out your top 5. Syntex, after a bad run so far here in FRL with a bit of unlucky moments, a lot of unlucky moments here in FRL, a driver that was talking about quitting at one point. He finishes P5, only a 10th off of finishing in the top 4, with a great drive coming from him after what was a disappointing qualifying. Tazo finishing P2, securing another heap of points for Mercedes. Jack finishing P8 after a very late pit stop there, securing some points in for Alpine, and of course, more importantly, Jack finishing ahead of other drivers here so he can try to hold on and still chase down that P2 in the Drivers' Championship. But Ferrari, only 23 points behind in the Constructors. This could be what they need in order to turn the Constructors' Championship around in their favor. JJ top step at the podium, Tazo P2, and then Choppa P3. Noda and Syntex so close to being on the podium. It was a great battle all the way through. Just little things kept switching back and forth. An amazing run from the drivers here. Congratulations, JJ and Ferrari, and welcome back to the top step of FRL. Ferrari really turning the back half of their season around here to be on the top step here. Mercedes continuing some domination there in P2. And then Haas in P3. Choppa really turning it up here. And again, Syntex, after what's been somewhat of a heartbreaking season to see for the Red Bull driver, back up on top. Matty, Jack Dormati, Jamer, Kepa, Ignis, John Meister, Fishu, the top 14. Great runs from all of them. So here from FRL, we want to say a big congratulations to all the drivers that raced today. Everyone, both Split 2 and Split 1. And congratulations to Max Verstappen in real-life Formula 1. Ferrari, a double podium there. Ferrari, a podium here in FRL. Next week, we go to Monaco, the crown jewel of Formula 1, the crown jewel of FRL, the track where I got my start here with FRL, and the track that everybody seems to love. So it'll be really exciting to see. Join us next week. We should be back on our regular time. I know this week was a little bit weird. So join us next week when we kick in for some good old Monaco. Who doesn't love it? I'll see you next week, everyone. This is Bradley.